Hello, everyone. My guest today is Renan Devillieres. He is building and is co-founder and CEO of OSS Ventures, a French startup specialist for industrial companies. After working as an economist at the OECD and co-founding a startup in Brazil, he founded OSS Ventures to help manufacturers digitize their production lines. He published with Michael Valentin, "Okay, Google, draw me a unicorn." Renan, you ready to take us to the top?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice to be here.
It's nice meeting you too. So industrial companies, help us understand the customers you're selling to and what they're buying.
Yeah. So factories used to have a lot of automation and a lot of software. This was 30 years ago. Actually, IBM, the very big company at the time, they made a lot of money by selling software to manufacturing companies. And today, manufacturing companies have outdated software that are kind of trapped into the innovator's dilemma. And so they are looking for the next wave of innovation. And there are like very, very advanced companies such as Tesla who are leading the way and showing that software eats everything, including in the manufacturing world.
Okay, and so what are they paying for your software on average per year or per month?
So the sweet spot is between 15K, and 75K per site per year. Why is it a sweet spot? Because it's roughly the price of a machine. So they are very used to making checks of that size.
I see.
And also because when you are in a big company or a mid company, you don't have to ask for corporate for those kind of checks, which is way easier.
Yep, no, that makes good sense. And so give me a bit of the backstory here. When did you launch the company? What year?
2 years ago.
2 years ago, so call it 2019. And how did you get your first customer or two?
So the first customer was actually a network of network. I literally went to 20 factories and said, look, we want to do that and we want to make good software for factories. So let us in. And 19 no's and 1 yes.
Where did you find, like you said, you just went to 20 factories. Well, how did you find who were you meeting there? How did you find that person, etc.?
So network of network, like using LinkedIn, and site director. So the site director is the guy who's responsible for making more and more performance and having good numbers and everything. And they're kind of lost when it comes to software because they are mechanical engineers and they don't know anything about software. So they are in dire need of someone helping them.
I see. Okay, so you use LinkedIn, you search for the word site manager. What other things did you use to filter your search? Location, team size?
So factory size and company size. The sweet spot is mid-market because very big teams have
Quantify that. How many people on the team is mid-market?
Mid-market is max 2,000 people.
Okay, got it. And when you say how big the factory is, how do you measure that?
So yeah, so 200 people is a good size for a factory because when factories are like 50 people, it doesn't make sense. So,
did people put if they work at a factory on their LinkedIn update? You can sort by that.
So yeah, but you will have only maybe 50% of the people who are on LinkedIn in factories. The other 50% they don't have a LinkedIn.
I see. Okay. So if you see a factory where there's 100 listed, your guess is there's probably 2 times that actually working at the factory. You find 20 of them in 2019 and you go pitch them what? Name one of the factories. It's like a food factory. And what does the software do?
So nobody gave anything about the factory. So we targeted all company size. And the very first startup that we did was a startup focusing on problem solving because in factories, you have that big wave that's called lean management. Lean was invented by Toyota like 30 years ago. And so you go to any factory and there are the lean principles that are put in place organizationally. So one of the pillars of the lean is solving issues. And so you say, okay, I have that issue in my manufacturing process and now I need to solve it. And I have a structured way of solving that. And at the end of solving it, I will deploy that. And that's called the lean methodology. There are other things. And so today, you go to a factory, 80% of the time, this kind of process is put in place. There is no software to collect it. There is no software to scale it. There is no software to get smart about it. And so it gets lost, even if the process is done. And so the very first software that we created was a software just catching that wave and making sure that those were done properly.
How many customers do you now have today?
180.
880?
180, yeah.
180. And those are The number of companies or the number of factories you're in?
The number of factories, and we have a little over 80 clients in the portfolio.
So 80 clients with 180 factories. So between, call it 2 and 4 factories per client. Yes. And are they paying $15,000 a year each, or do they pay it like across 180 factories? They're paying that 15K subscription multiple times to use on multiple pieces of.
Yeah. So today the total sales are 2.2 million euro per year.
You're doing 2.2 million a year?
Yes.
Okay. That's what you did last year, or that's your run rate right now?
No, that's annualized February build times 12.
That's great. And what did you finish 2019 at? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was 1.6.
That's pretty good. So first year you grew it to a $1.6 million run rate. What enabled you to get going so fast? Did you come from the manufacturing world?
Yeah, so my background is an industrial economist. And I used to be a consultant at McKinsey & Company. And so I saw that massive gap as an opportunity, because nobody tech goes to factories and nobody from factories goes to tech.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a massive space. It's 90 billion just in Europe. And it's more than 400 billion world, like just software for manufacturing companies. Mm-hmm. And so just to go back, and we did the first software like that. And now we have 8 lines of software. And those 8 lines of software with 8 separate companies that we are in, those 8 are total 2.2 million ARR.
Got it. And have you done all this bootstrapped, or have you raised capital?
So I raised capital. The thing is that I created a company before a second-time founder, and I sold my first company. Well, I sold my shares of the company to Google Ventures. Okay. And so I used that start capital. And then I raised capital with Tikeo Capital, with a well-known fund in Europe.
So how much did you raise?
6 million.
6 million. And before you raised the 6 million, how much of your own personal capital did you invest?
800K, something like that.
Did that make you nervous?
No, it was. Well, this was negotiation with my wife. and she said, you're allowed to play with 25% of everything we have. And so I went with more. Yep. And so that was negotiation, basically.
You raised the 6 million. Obviously, you have to tell a story because you want to sell as little as possible. So what valuation were you able to get?
So we were able to get a valuation that is kind of floating according to what we will be doing. The total valuation should be 24 million.
Pre-money or post?
Pre-money.
So 24 pre, 30 post.
Yeah. And the fact that we raised on such a high valuation for European standards, at least, the fact that we raised for that is because basically you have SAP and Oracle and Microsoft is entering the field, and those are the only 3 who are really playing in the manufacturing 4.0 space. Mm-hmm. Massive market. The net promoter score of SAP is 4, like not 40, 4. It's 4. And so basically you have that huge market, very concentrated, with very low NPS.
Mm-hmm. Now, to capture this market, obviously you're building a team. Talk to me about the team today. How many people total?
So in the core, in the studio, we are 20 people. And in the rest of the different companies, we have a little over 50 people.
What do you mean the rest of the other companies? I don't understand.
Yeah, so we have 8 software lines. Each software line has its own team. So those 8 software lines are the ones pushing the different types of.
But they're all part of OSS Ventures. They're all part of the same company.
Yes, exactly.
So across the whole company, there's 50 people total?
Yes.
Okay, and how many engineers total?
I would say 35.
35. And do you have any quota-carrying sales reps, or are you doing all the sales still?
So I would say that 40% of our sales are done like us, and the rest is referral and partner channels.
Okay, so of the 40, that is you guys. Who is you guys? How many on your team are doing sales?
In our team, I would say, let me see, 6 people.
6 people. And do you remember how much revenue you were doing when you hired your first sales rep?
I would the first 500K were done exclusively by me, that's for sure. And I would say the first was at like 600.
Okay, got it. And what quota do you give them? You're sort of guessing.
Sorry, I did not understand the question.
When you hired your first sales representative, what quota target did you set for them?
So basically, we say that they need to bring home 7 times their salary.
Mm-hmm.
That's like our benchmark metrics. The thing that we are slowly pushing is that today our sales cycle, our real sales cycle, is 2 quarters, which is quite long. And we are pushing to get shorter sales cycles because they are able to push their limit and get to the target and the quota. But the sales cycle is still quite long. And what I call the real sales cycle is our definition is for 50% of the addressable perimeter to be deployed.
Yep.
It's not like signing like 1K, 1K recurring revenue. No, it's deploying. And the thing is, we are starting to see that our sales cycle, 2 quarters.
40% of your sales is coming from this team of 6 on your own sales team. You said the other 60% is coming from resellers. Help me understand how you pay the resellers and how many you currently have.
So it ranges from 10 to 40% commission, usually on first year license. There are some who want more, but usually they don't achieve that. And one very interesting trend in manufacturing is that if you look at SAP shareholder quarterly reports, it's minus 5% R&D and plus 5% M&A, like every quarter, clockwork. And so what they are all trying to do is they are all trying to get a part of what startups are doing, startups like us. Yep. And so, for example, Siemens, Bosch, SAP, Dassault Systèmes, and all those guys, they are all trying to get us to do better a part of what they used to do, but are losing contracts on. And so basically, we have that kind of love-hate relationship with those resellers. So that's one part of the reseller. I would say it's 50%. The other 50% is consultants. And consultants in factories, they are either very good in lean or very good at implementing SAP. And there's no like middle ground of people being good at operations and digital. And so what we are doing is kind of closing that gap, and we are providing tools for the consulting people who are good at operations to be also digital. So we are targeting the operations people and getting them the digital.
And the consultants can make 10 to 40% commission too. Amazing. How many value-added resellers have you paid at least $1 in commissions to over the past year?
Wow, good question. Over 100?
Oh, wow. So you have a lot of resellers.
Yeah, actually, there's a lot of consultants. A lot of professional services is on the rise. Like its growth is like 15% year to year. It's enormous. And so those guys, they want to differentiate. And usually the typical persona is like 1 to 2 people.
Yep.
Very small company, not very differentiated, used to be an operational, wants to go into consulting. And if you get them a package saying you sell that and it's going to be great and you're going to provide value, they're happy to jump on the bandwagon and have that. And actually, they are the ones who have distribution mid-market.
Yep. Renan, we are doing something new called the Latka Growth Marketing Fellowship, where we're teaching sort of an 8-week course on different ways to drive growth from up to your first 5 million in revenue. One of the sections is using and managing value-added resellers. I'd love to figure out a way to build you into that course for 5 minutes or so, just to have you teach how you've done it, because I think it's impressive.
Pleasure.
I love that. What's next for you guys? What run rate do you think you hit by the end of this year?
So we want to double every year. At least that's the goal.
How much?
Double every year.
Yeah, double. Yeah. So you want to get to about 3.2 million run rate by December.
Yeah, that's the. And the thing is that we have 1 to 2 years of staying in France. We are doing 60% of our business in France, 40% out of France. The thing is, the 40% that we are doing out of France is factories from French clients, but out of France.
Interesting.
Yes. because manufacturing is a very internationalized world. Like most companies have factories all over the world. And so the next steps are creating more software lines to have more cross-sell and upsell in each account.
How good are you at upselling right now? What was your net revenue expansion over the past, or retention over the past 12 months?
The number is, I would say, 30-ish% plus for in cohort. Like our net ARR retention from last year cohort is plus 30%.
So 130%.
Yes.
Net revenue retention.
The number is we have 180 sites deployed and one churned.
Okay.
Because there was a 50% company layoff, which is quite a good reason.
Yeah. No, I agree. Now, are you doing any paid spend to get more customers besides the 10 to 40% commission you're paying your value-added resellers?
For now, zero. And we recruited a head of community and social media like literally 2 months ago. And we are creating a community of manufacturing professionals and kind of getting that community to then bombard with content and have a very different message and leverage that community.
I love that. Renan, this is a great story. Let's wrap up here with the famous 5. Number 1, what's your favorite business book?
0 to 1.
Number 2, is there a CEO you're following or studying?
Yeah, Musk, like everyone in the world.
Number 3, what's your favorite online tool for building OSS ventures?
My favorite online what?
Tool,
Notion.
Number 4, how many hours of sleep do you get every night?
4 to 5.
Okay, and what's your situation? Married, single, kiddos?
Married.
Any kids?
No.
No kids, and how old are you?
No. 34.
34. Last question. What's something you wish you knew when you were 20?
You have to start younger. Like there's no good moment to start, so start now.
Guys, OSS Ventures, they are selling into factories, a great piece of technology to manage the whole factory process. They got the first $1 million in revenue, relying on over 100 value-added resellers. They paid 10 to 40% commission to. The other 40% of their new sales comes from their sales team. They did 1.6 million in terms of run rate last year, in 2019. Scaled up to currently about 2.2 million in terms of run rate, with eyes on 3.6 million in terms of ARR by the end of 2021, serving 180 factories right now. Renan, thanks for taking us to the top.
Thank you.
One more thing before you go. We have a brand new show every Thursday at 1 p.m. Central. It's called Shark Tank for SaaS. We call it Deal or Bust. One founder comes on, 3 hungry buyers, they try and do a deal live, and the founder shares back-end dashboards, their expenses, their revenue, ARPU, CAC, LTV, you name it, they share it. And the buyers try and make a deal live. It is fun to watch every Thursday, 1 p.m. Central. Additionally, remember, these recorded founder interviews go live. We release them here on YouTube every day at 2 p.m. Central. To make sure you don't miss any of that, make sure you click the subscribe button below here on YouTube, the big red button, and then click the little bell notification to make sure you get notifications when we do go live. I wouldn't want you to miss breaking news in the SaaS world, whether it's an acquisition, a big fundraise, a big sale, a big profitability statement, or something else. I don't want you to miss it. Additionally, if you want to take this conversation deeper and further, we have by far the largest private Slack community for B2B SaaS founders. You want to get in there. We've probably talked about your tool if you're running a company, or your firm if you're investing. You can go in there and quickly search and see what people are saying. Sign up for that at nathanlatka.com/Slack. In the meantime, I'm hanging out with you here on YouTube. I'll be in the comments for the next 30 minutes. Feel free to let me know what you thought about this episode. And if you enjoyed it, click the thumbs up. We get a lot of haters that are mad at how aggressive I am on these shows, but I do it so that we can all learn. We have to counter those people. We got to push them away. Click the thumbs up below to counter them, and know that I appreciate your guys' support. All right, I'll be in the comments. See ya.